A warm welcome to all our viewers to our series Natural Medicine. Today, I'd like to speak again about the power of thoughts, because I just think that it is the most important thing, what we can do for ourselves for our health. And I invited a graduate engineer in biomedicine. And I keep saying, she is the Pope of blueberries. A warm welcome, dear Jutta Suffner. Thank you for being here. Yeah, you deserve this title. You have to accept it.
Yes, hello Alexander. Greetings to Switzerland.
Thank you very much. Dear Jutta, I know from neuroscience, for example, or from Professor Wallach, that most of the thoughts that we think we're not even aware of, but they happen unconsciously. There are so many control mechanisms in motion in the subconscious, and I keep asking myself, if we could use this huge potential, I think it's 93% of all thoughts, to benefit our health or the path of recovery, then we would probably be somewhere completely different from where we are currently. What do you think?
I can only agree with that. And if you think about it, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. So 90% of them are always the same as the day before. Because we're just conditioned like that.
Okay.
And if you think about it, you think something, and that thought leads to a corresponding behaviour. This behaviour is what gives you an experience, and this experience leads to an emotion. This emotion leads back to your thoughts. It's like a cycle. And after all, emotion is what controls us, what makes us act. I always picture it this way. We record everything we see like some kind of recorder. You press record, we record it. And regardless of whether the situation was good or bad, even if good and bad doesn't exist in that sense, but we judge it that way, then it is saved. And when I get into a similar situation again, I take this picture from memory, so to speak, from the subconscious, compare it with the current situation, and especially in fear, in stress, for example.
It's like a copier.
Yes, like a copier, exactly. This is really like copy and paste. And I speak from my own experience, and women know that we can think really well. We have thought clouds around us, and 90% of them are just garbage. It's like that.
I don't say anything, I can only lose.
I just have to say that also about myself, because this particular time is really a challenge. We are on the outside a lot and absorb all these influences, and then of course your brain process continues. And then you always say life is so bad, and anyway, I think the key is simply to get out of these old patterns of behaviour. It's just so important, and you can only do that by reprogramming this recorder.
So making new thoughts means we're building neural highways, so new small roads, side streets, and not always driving on the same highway.
That's interesting, because that's exactly what I wanted to say. Because I read recently, there is a neuroscientist, Eric Kandel, he's also a Nobel Prize winner, and he has also discovered that people who take in one bit of information, they double their neural brain connections from 1300 to 2600. The number doesn't matter now, but they just double up all those connections up there. I think it really makes sense. Also, like it is in traffic or in the forest, if I keep walking the same path, this little path will eventually turn into a really wide, well-trodden road. And of course we are used to that because we know it. And everything that is known is simple. And the key would be letting go of this beaten path and go a path that may have overgrown very, very high with grass, just to start to level it very, very gently. And that's where the new thoughts start.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but it's always a bit difficult. I mean, if I drive my car into town now, in a city that I know, you feel good here. You have no problem at all. If you drive to a new city, you're stressed, right, left, front, back, everywhere. So you prefer to go to the city you already know and drive through there without any problems. But if I were to look at this scenario, which I've just built up now, in the direction of Alzheimer's and dementia, it would actually be better if I went to a different city every week, wouldn't it?
Also, like this Eric Kandel said, never retire. And I think the sentence is really good. I had to smile when I read it yesterday. But he's right, because no matter if you are 88 or 20, no matter what age, you can always spread out these neural highways, all these synaptic connections, again and again. It works. It has nothing to do with age. And we really know. I also worked with an MRI scanner for a long time, and we also know when people say, but I can't, I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too fat, too heavy, or I'm lying in bed right now. It doesn't matter, because no matter if you're imagining something or if it's really happening in front of you, the same areas of the brain are always activated, and that's proven. So that's just a fact. And I think it's so important for us to become aware of this potential. So this time is also a very challenging time for me. And you just notice that you should take the plunge into something unknown. And only then can you change all your habits. Because here there is the beautiful sentence, who are you really before you were told who you are? You know, we came here after 9 months of full board, with all our abilities, with all that we can, and gradually we are set limits. You can't do that, you're too big, you're too small, too fat, too black, too white, you are too poor to make money. The smallest creature will be affected by this. And that's logical that at some point, you just have to be told often enough, then you just think, I can't interview, I can't speak to people, or something else. I can't study medicine because the teacher said you're too stupid. So these are things that are being imposed on you from the outside. And you will be limited in your horizon. But you were born here with a huge potential. And that is getting smaller, smaller, smaller through the whole of society through this programming. And around 35, these unconscious actions are like a computer program with us, and repetition conditions your body.
We've already been able to document everything that is possible to viewers at a lecture by Professor Gerhard Hüther, who treated stroke patients where one half of the motor system in the body was really paralysed. And he just trained the other half of the brain so that suddenly the right half worked again. So that just shows it's possible to rebuild new structures in our brains, to build new highways that take over these things. And the other thing is, I recently read a book by Jodie Spencer about the power of the placebo. That's another gigantic thing. So what the point is today, it's actually about breaking some habit every day and doing something new, right? How do you do it yourself? I mean, do you brush your teeth first with the right, then left hand?
Sometimes they are simple things. Instead of whatever, always sitting on the left chair at breakfast, you swap, you sit on the right chair. Don't get up with your right leg first, but with your left one. That sounds very mundane now, but it just changes something in you. Brush your teeth with the right hand instead of the left. Comb your hair differently. And just to get out of this loop, I know what I am talking about. I'm working on it every day, and I can see it in my Delta scan that I am doing. If what you plant into people, it sounds so massive now, but also what you say, including placebo, that's just a symbol for a possibility of what can be done. And if a doctor tells you, take this pill or this pillule and you'll be better, then processes are triggered that, of course, go in the direction of health and healing. And I see that every day, and that's why I think it's so important to give these impulses of consciousness to the people and to get them out of this fear that they can't do something. And each of us can. When we come to Earth after this full board, we can do everything. And I think all of us, your broadcast, no matter whether it is Hütte, Spencer, we already know everything, but we're just helping people remember that they can do it themselves, because what we say is nothing new. There are already 50 different variants, but people have to think about it. And even if some then say, well, it's easy for you to say, that's not possible. It won't be easy. I'm not saying that it's easy. I know that from my own experience. Nobody said that, but it can be done. And just try. I mean, nothing can go wrong if I try. Just conserve that positive feeling. If it's gratitude, love, write down 5 thoughts in the evening. What am I grateful for today? Start with very, very small things.
Yeah, that's how I see it. But also, back to these exercises, I think that's a great start. If we really turn certain habits upside down. Because on the one hand, we're immediately aware that what we do, we don't just do it like a copier, but we then act consciously, and we consciously do it differently. And that aims to create incredibly great new connections up here. But now I'd like to come back to the core of this episode, because to what extent can we use our power of thoughts also for our health?
In the end, it's the key. Because if we, as an example, I'll do a delta scan of someone or whatever, some therapist does an examination, a diagnosis, and finds out, okay, how something isn't how it should be, let's say it like that. Now, of course, in the first moment in fear, so this feeling of fear, insecurity, helplessness, I can let it get the better of me, and of course I'll trigger my whole system towards illness rather than health. But when I, and this is so important, close my eyes, because from the outside we get so many stimuli that you can't switch off, but if you choose consciously to write down for you, wait a minute, where do I want to go now? This path of health is what I want to preserve. I think it's important, at least for me, to write it down. How do you want to see yourself? No matter if you're fighting an illness, what do you want to see? How do you really want to be in good health? And the more you do that, the more you change your feelings, your actions, your experiences. And the more you come into this positive vibration. And illness, that's just a different vibration from health. So ultimately, we just need, in quotes, to try to raise our energy system so that we can simply swing in health. I'll just put it like that. But in the end, that's the key. Think and feel above all else. Feeling is the key to optimally activating this positive mood and also your entire gene expression. Not just talking or saying a mantra, but really feeling it. To be in this process.
So, if you're really caught in a misery somewhere, you shouldn't put even more energy into the illness, but really into what you have just said, what I wrote down where I want to go. Right now, I just imagine this time of Corona, how the whole world, somehow 6-7 billion people on Earth, are focusing on Corona fears every day. I also wonder what that information does with the collective field. Have you ever thought of these questions?
Yes, a lot in the last few weeks. And at first, like probably everyone else, I also checked Facebook, text, Telegram, what's new, where is it? And then I noticed it in myself. I really got into a process like a rolling stone. Well, a virus like that can't scare me. Because if you have a good immune system, so what? I was more concerned about the fear of other people. The fearful eyes I saw. Sometimes that was really terrifying or depressing. And that's why, of course, you should inform yourself. But once a day for 10 minutes is enough. And then focus on health again. It's like when you want to buy a car. You want to buy a red Golf, you'll see red Golfs driving around everywhere. It's nothing else. And that you can really get the focus off this C virus, it could also be called Eva or Heinrich, get it from illness into health. Because with that, we strengthen this whole collective field. We need the positive and not the fear, which is what is wanted.
I always see it negatively, or unfortunately, it was made so negative, because it would have been a great chance, I keep saying, taking Corona as an opportunity to finally focus on your own immune system and say, hey, take antioxidants, eat smart. Then the biggest virus can only affect the fewest people, right? That would have been a positive statement and a huge opportunity for all of us.
Well, I see this time as an opportunity and definitely positive, because you will simply be forced into calmness once in a while. And many people can't deal with this calmness or with themselves. And if they sit around for 10 minutes without a cell phone, without anything, then the rat race already starts. Just getting away from all these influences and saying, the cell phone stays at home today. I focus on myself, on my health. And then you can follow your intuition again. Then you'll understand again what you want for yourself. And I also noticed how I was trapped in this rat race. You have to do this or that, and you actually don't have to. The only thing you have to is using the toilet when the water runs, but otherwise you never have to. And these are things, I definitely see it as an opportunity, and I hope that many, many people see it that way, and that we can use it as such, just to build up new awareness.
I just don't know, when so many billions of people enter fear into the collective field every day, how long it takes to be cleaned up again. To actually get into a completely different vibration, one that we all wish for. We actually rather drifted off to the other side again. When people keep their distance and meet you only at a distance of 2 meters and so on, these are exactly the things that also have to do with our mind, with our consciousness, with this power of our thoughts, which very clearly slides into a fearful, negative spiral here.
But I think it's important that each of us, whether small, big, young, old, everyone is not a small light at all, but a big light. And when everyone at home just takes these positive thoughts in, this positive feeling, then even if there are only 1,000 small lights, it will turn into a big flame, and this great flame can spread to others again. So everyone has the potential, and everyone can do something. So please don't think, oh, well, I can't do anything for some reason. Everyone can do something. Every single positive spark can overturn this system. And I think it's very important to be aware of this potential.
I have one more important question. And I also know that in modern research in medicine, there are also so-called information scanners there. Systems where you can scan a person and get information about their thought structure. Is that something you also do with patients?
Yes, so for me it is the Delta scan. There are different systems, all of which are super good. For me, mine is the best now. Everyone has their own thing. And the beautiful thing is you can do it remotely. It is scientific and not recognised by conventional medicine. I have to add that. But well, that's okay too. And the beauty is simply, regardless of whether someone is here or wherever in New Zealand, that's where the furthest patient comes from now, no matter where you are, you connect to this field via a blood test or a tuft of hair, and can then read out these information fields accordingly, and also get therapy. And whoever deals a little with quantum physics, quantum medicine, for them it will be quite logical that this works. And I'm very, very grateful, because I came to it through my own story, and for me, it is not the future, it's already here now. I notice that more and more people are interested in this. or may not be able to fully grasp it, but they give it a try. And there's always something going on.
So that means in modern medicine, in the latest science, the destructive thought structures of people have already been observed, analysed. The mirror has been held out to them and shown how to get out of this dilemma. It's unbelievable. Now we're using a much greater potential.
And the crazy thing is, Alexandra, it's always been there. We already have it. And it took me 50 years to slowly realise it. Others I know, 20, 25-year-olds who are, oh God, if I'd already been so far back then. Or children 10, 12 years old. It's crazy what kind of intuition they have, and they don't let everything be covered up from outside. We all know that everything is there, and we're just helping each other remember what we are really capable of. And I think letting go of the fear of the unknown and just taking a leap. From my experience, you should do it more often.
It's true, yeah, really true. You also gave yourself the title, which I think is fantastic, to be honest, Jutta Suffner, Chronic Health Expert. There it is again, the power of the word, of the thoughts, where the journey should go, and not for chronic diseases, yeah?
That's exactly it. And I mean, 20 years ago I was actually incapacitated for a few years, and that's my goal after all. People don't have to do the same mistake that I did back then. But when I have whatever, lectures, seminars, consultations, and can simply set an impulse so that people realise, oh wow, here I can take care of everything myself. Of course I need my food supplements, vital substance. We all know that this is no longer in the food as it used to be, out of the question. But this whole circle is closed if you combine nutrition, exercise, information, medicine, with sound sleep. When you get all of this done, and most importantly, do what you love and stop working.
Now we leave a rhetorical 10-second pause, because that was already very profound. I could somehow do philosophical episodes with you. That was crazy, great.
I have another sentence too. I read it this morning, and I thought it could be a nice final sentence. What a caterpillar calls the end, the world calls a butterfly. Isn't this just a beautiful sentence?
Yeah, absolutely. And there we have it again.
And that really touched me this morning, and I believe the sentence just says everything.
Great. Dear Jutta, thank you for taking the time to talk to me a little bit about the power of thoughts. I really wish that this spreads much, much more. These approaches of medicine on the new modern medicine side, that we include these aspects to a large extent, are careful that we don't use nocebos, but only use positive placebos. Pay attention to the word. It is scientifically well documented that there is a lot of power in it. So Jutta, I wish you all the best in the far north. Thank you for being here in the studio. And I also wish you, dear viewers, prudence, many, many new habits. Get up tomorrow with the other foot and brush your teeth with the other hand. Just to restructure the brain a bit. To get out of the pure copying processes. A new sheet of paper is put down. It's copied anew to do something different every day. And please pay attention to the choice of your thoughts and your words, because they are full of power and energies. In this sense, all the best. Bye-bye. And see you next time.